Invocation by First United Methodist.
Good to be here. Would you pray with me? Gracious God, in the midst of the important work of this gathering, we pause to say thank you. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your love that touches each and every one of our lives. We also offer our thanks to those who have cleaned our streets, kept the power and lights on, and who have been first responders in the moments of need in the midst of the bitter cold and snow that we've dealt with in the recent days. Protect those who do this important work in our community. God, I pray that your spirit and wisdom will guide these men and women at these tables in the work that they do this evening and throughout the year that's before us. And may we all do our part to make this world and this community a place that reflects hope and justice and possibility for all. And I pray this in the name of Christ. Amen.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Sabers. Here. Dosher. Goldhammer.
Here.
McCurdle. Barrington. Here. Bathke. Here. Charks. Here. Smith.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum. Approval of consent agenda items. Items appearing on consent agenda may be removed by council members for discussion beginning with formal agenda items. Is there anything you wish to remove? We do have a brief video from MADC.
I'd like to discuss I.
Okay. Can we go through the MADC thing first? Come on up.
We're going to share in for Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Mike Lauritsen with the Development Corporation. We're going to share information a little bit differently this time, and it starts right off. I would say this is the first pancake. They will get better, but this is our first run at this.
You want them down?
This is the 2023 Quarter 4 report for the Mitchell Area Chamber of Commerce, Mitchell Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Mitchell Area Development Corporation, and Dakota Heartland. Starting off with the Mitchell Area Chamber of Commerce, there were 5 new members this quarter, as well as 2 ribbon cuttings, 3 First Friday coffees, 2 groundbreakings, 1 Mix and Mingle was hosted, and 1 Lunch and Learn was hosted. The Community Concierge hosted 2 newcomer events, one at Michelle's Mad Batter and one at James Valley Landscape Solutions. The Chamber also launched its 2nd annual Mitchell Main Street Window Art Contest with the theme Literary Inspirations, along with Mitchell Main Street and Beyond and the Mitchell Area Council of the Arts. Session 2 and Session 3 of Leadership Mitchell were hosted this quarter, Session 2 being Personal Leadership and Session 3 being Agriculture. Co-Starters Business Acceleration Program also graduated its 2nd cohort with 13 participants on December 6th. Moving on to the Mitchell Convention and Visitors Bureau. Quarter 4 marked the 2023 pheasant hunting season in Mitchell, and the CVB kicked off the pheasant hunting season by painting Welcome Hunter signs on the sidewalk. We also aired radio ads, and we set up booths at Cabela's and the airport to welcome hunters and provide them with information and promotional items. The CVB also took tickets at the Pheasants Forever banquet at the Corn Palace. The CVB also hosted Greenway Outdoors in Mitchell, which is a TV show about fishing and hunting that airs on the History Channel. They came to Mitchell to film a show about pheasant hunting, but they also wanted to get connected with some other tourist attractions and businesses in Mitchell. So we set them up with the Indian Village as well as the Corn Palace, and connected them with people from the Pheasants Forever and South Dakota Game, Fish, and Parks. This show will air on the History Channel in either August or September of 2024. We also had a viral photo of the Corn Palace in the Bob Barker mural. We received 2,583 reactions on the original post and share posts. It was also shared by a popular account called Midwest versus Everybody on Twitter. And this received over 3,300 favorites, and it was great exposure for the Corn Palace, and it generated a lot of positive comments from people sharing their love of Mitchell. Moving on to the Mitchell Area Development Corporation. The MADC dispersed over $21,000 of funds from the Move to Mitchell program as of December 26th to people who have moved to Mitchell from out of state and are working and living here full time. They also posted another Workforce Wednesday hiring event, and 52 bags were handed out. The MADC also hosted a HUD Housing Roundtable with USDA, SD Housing, and Avera. A big project for the MADC this quarter were the business retention and expansion visits. They partnered with the GOED, Northwestern, and the Mitchell Republic for the BRE visits with Mitchell's largest employers, which include Performance Pet, Graphic Packaging, Avera, Twin City Fans, Toshiba, Trail King, Vantage Point, Innovative Systems, and AKG North America. They also met with SPN for a comprehensive review of the new industrial park's infrastructure and the most efficient way to bring utilities to their new prospect. And moving on to Dakota Heartland Development Association. In Parkston, they assisted a new business, 12 Mile Creek Brewery, in obtaining $20,000 in grant funding. In White Lake, the Aurora Burrell Nursing Home, White Lake School District, and the America Medical Clinic are working to secure a 3-unit, 2-bed, 1-bath workforce housing facility to be used as rentals for their organization's existing workforce and attracting new employees in the future. In Corsica, they invited regional legislators from District 19, 20, and 21 to meet community leaders from Corsica, Parkston, Tripp, and Armour to discuss common topics of interest, including workforce housing, childcare, nursing home funding, medical marijuana access, school and community funding. The legislators also received a tour of the Garden Valley Ag Medical Marijuana Grow Facility in Corsica.
Okay. You want anything else, Mike?
That's it. We're going to continue to make these videos and share them. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer those, but that's a new way that we're going to share some of the things that we're working on.
Any questions from Mr. Lawrence?
Point of clarification,
Yes.
okay, we did not feed medical marijuana to our legislators. The slides were interchanged. We had breakfast for them, and then they went out and saw the medical marijuana.
Sure, that's what I'd say too. Okay. Anything else for MADC? Okay, Mr. Bathke, what's yours?
I just have a couple of questions. First is the Mitchell Rodeo Foundation. Did they make their payment
Yes,
for the $8,500?
$7,500 for 2024. The $500 was from the previous year.
So it should have been $8,500 total, because they hadn't paid any.
8,000 total. The $500 was for the previous 2 years, I believe, right? They were paid up through 2024. We received the $7,500 for 2024. Michelle received it in January.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not I. Do you want to talk about
Well,
I?
I want to talk about it, but I just want to.
Okay.
So I just have a comment about no personal beef with Stratton Havlick being appointed, but he not only doesn't live in our city, he doesn't live in our county.
He owns
I
a
know-
business
I know
in
that, and
town,
it's-
which makes him eligible.
Yep, I know it does.
Okay, all right.
And I know you said it's hard to find people. I'm just commenting, and I've shared this with Jeff Smith. That we have a lot of intelligent women in our community. I'd really love to see a woman get on that board. And I don't have anybody in mind. I'm just like, there should be a woman on that board, at least one, because we have some really intelligent women. Whether me and Susan disagree, doesn't matter to me.
And we have had women on that
Yeah.
board in the past.
Yep.
Typically, they don't last very long.
Okay.
That's not one thing or another.
Yep, and then-
If you have somebody that you want me to
No.
contact, I'd be happy to contact them.
I know you. So then the other question I have is I've gotten some feedback, and this goes back to the rooftop bar, fiasco, whatever you want to call it, with Mr. Jerza being on there and not living in our community. Once
He-
again, I know he has a business, and he phones in a lot, but I don't personally feel that's right, that we have a gentleman that's choosing not to live here for 6 months or whatever he's doing, I don't know, making decisions for our community.
you want to pull that board out and vote on it separately, you can.
I'm fine with him being on there. I'm just
Okay, all right, okay, all right. Both of them own businesses in town, that's what makes them eligible, otherwise they would be replaced, or they wouldn't be able to be on it, so. Am I stating that right, Mr. Johnson?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Anything else on the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Goldhammer. Second by Mr. McCardle. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address it? Okay, roll call, please.
Sabers. Goldammer.
Aye.
Dosher. McCardle.
Aye.
Barrington.
Aye.
Bathke.
Aye.
Charks. Smith.
Motion carries. Citizens input. If you need to address the mayor and member of city council on an item that is not on the agenda, excluding personnel items, please come forward to the podium and state your name and your concern. Presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Items will be considered, but no action will be taken at this time. Does anybody wish to address council? Mr. Greenway.
Mayor and Council, I want to invite you next Wednesday, we think is a very exciting opportunity. Olympic gold medalist Billy Mills is coming to Mitchell to see his mural as a famous South Dakotan. And we're pleased to have him here. We're going to give him a tour. There's going to be a public press conference at 10 o'clock on the Corn Palace floor. We invite you and the public to come and listen to him and meet him. He won't talk long. We've got a small award we're going to present to him and thank him for his efforts and continued efforts helping the reservations in South Dakota and across the country. But that's next Wednesday, the 24th, 10 a.m. at the Corn Palace floor. We'd invite you to come and listen to him and meet him if you'd like. And that's open to the public.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else wish to address council? Okay.
Mayor and Council, Chief Coster, we had a question concerning snow removal.
I'm sorry, thank you.
No, you're fine. I guess the basic ordinance, and Justin was going to help me out on this just briefly, but the basic ordinance is that 48 hours after snowfall, it is a requirement by ordinance to have the snow and ice removed from your sidewalks. Our code enforcement officer, lets that 48 hours pass. We're not deciding whether it's snowing on the east side or west side of town. We give them ample 48-hour time. After that period, we work our sidewalk violations on complaint basis. We try to keep those primary corridors, business areas, taken care of. But in the residential areas, we found that most cities of our size and larger are working those areas on complaint-driven. As of this year, Officer Erickson, our code enforcement officer, has had 2 residential sidewalks shoveled by our contractor and has issued notices for 3 others. When he issues that notice, he hangs a flyer on the door notifying the resident that they have 24 hours to get the snow removed. He comes back in 24 hours. If the snow hasn't been removed, he contacts our contractor, and then they have a period of time, I believe it's 24 hours, to get that removed, and then they bill the resident or property owner. So we haven't had any issues so far. In the snows that we've had some accumulation, but everyone's been a good neighbor and taking care of their sidewalks. We do have a number of people that walk in the winter, so I'd like to remind everyone that even though it is winter, we need to get those sidewalks cleared. We have people in, wheelchairs and other mobility devices that are trying to use them, and we just need to get them cleared off.
All right, thank you. Any questions or comments to Mr. Coster? Okay. Board of Adjustment, entertain a motion for the City Council to recess to the Board of Adjustment.
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Chark, second by Mr. Barrington. Okay, discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Action to set the date for Board of Adjustment hearing 2/5/24. Levi Fisher, prospective home buyer, has applied for a variance permit for a side yard corner lot setback of 18 feet versus 20 feet to build an 8 by 18 addition onto the house located at 604 South Edmund Street, legally described as all of Lot 1 and north 9 feet of Lot 2, Block 8, Van Epps, second edition, City of Mitchell, Davidson County, South Dakota. Said property is zoned R2. Motion by Mrs. Charks. Second by Mr. Goldhammer. Discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Entertain a motion for Board of Adjustment to adjourn and City Council to reconvene regular session. Motion by Mr. Goldhammer, second by Mr. McCardle. Discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Hearing and action on the following alcohol license applications. On the application of Michelle Kalin, doing business as Michelle's Mad Batter LLC, 123 East 3rd Avenue, Suite 1, for a new retail on-off sale wine and cider license, video lottery not included. Mr. Coster, any issues?
Mayor and Council, Chief Coster, we have no issues with this and recommend approval.
Motion. Second. Motion by Mr. Barrington, second by Mr. Smith. Discussion? Anybody else wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. The next two items have been pulled by the owner of the dollar store, so we don't have to go through those. Action to approve mutually voiding a variance granted to Jason Greenway on October 2nd, 2023. Mr. Johnson.
All right, so this item relates to, obviously, the variance that was previously granted to Jason Greenway. As council's aware, there was a lawsuit filed in relation to the granting of that variance, currently pending. This would essentially resolve the lawsuit as the plaintiff has agreed to dismiss the suit if the variance is voided. So the document that you see in front of you was prepared by our outside counsel. They did have discussions with Mr. Greenway about the matter. He's amenable to signing it as well. And I guess if there are any questions, I can answer those at this time.
Motion approved. Motion by Mr. Savers. Second by Mr. Barrington. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Action to approve settlements and waivers in relation to civil lawsuit 17CIV 20-00242. Mr. Johnson.
All right, again, this is another pending lawsuit. This one was filed back in 2020, relates to flooding incidents in the 2019 spring and fall flooding events that we had that year. This relates to claims from Megan and Justin Luther, and it involves payments being made to State Farm on behalf of the city, and then the city being reimbursed by a third-party defendant related to the incident. So again, if there's any questions, I can try to answer those.
Move to approve.
Motion by Mr. Goldhammer. Second. Second by Mr. Bathke. Discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Action to approve purchase of snowplow attachment for Ram 2500 truck. Mr. Schrader.
Yep, Mr. Mayor, Council. The Water Department is requesting approval to purchase a V-plow for one of our 2500 Ram trucks for snow removal. Plow will be used at sites around town, including the water treatment plant, water tower sites, and the new ground storage tank site. The Water Department completes the majority of their snow removal currently with loader backhoes. Sometimes that's an issue getting around for maneuverability and functionality, as well as getting to locations in town. Item we talked about last year, but during budgeting, it's something, snow's not really on the forefront of your mind when you're budgeting. So I should say in the middle of summer. Staff recommends the purchase of the new V-plow for the Water Department for a total price of $9,946, and this will come out of our enterprise fund. I can answer any questions you may have.
Motion by Mr. McCardle. Second by Mr. Barrington. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Action to approve Agreement A 2024-05, purchase of real estate with Ralph and Pam Kiner. Mr. Schrader.
Yep, Mr. Mayor, Council. The parcel of land we're talking about is identified in this picture. It's kind of hard to see. It's a very small area. When we were doing some research in the area, we found that this parcel was not pulled out when other parcels were pulled out. We thought the city owned it, but we found out they didn't. So this is more of just a housekeeping item. And with that, we ask council to approve the purchase agreement for the peripheral $1.
Motion by Mr. McCardle. Second by Mr. Sabers. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Action to approve Resolution R 2024-02, plat of Tract 1A of Nedved Addition in the northeast quarter of the southeast quarter of Section 8, Township 102 North, Range 60 West of the 5th primary in Davis County, South Dakota. Mr. Janigas.
Mr. Mayor and Council, Planning Commission recommended approval of this 6-0 with one absent. This is outside the ETJ, but within the 3 miles of City of Mitchell. Jason Nedved is looking to build a shed on his property, and by doing so, he needed to have some more land to meet setbacks, so he's purchasing some land from his parents that live to the south. The previous plat will be vacated. Now he will have the full acreage there then. I can answer any questions that you have. County Commission approved the plat today.
Motion by Mr. Barrington, second by Mr. Smith. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Action to approve Resolution R 2024-03, plat of lots 13 through 21 and Meadows Court of Iverson's Addition, located in Lot B of the southeast quarter of Section 33, Township 103 North, Range 60 West of the 5th primary in Davis County, South Dakota. Mr. Janigas.
Mr. Mayor and Council, Planning Commission recommended approval of this 6-0 with one absent. This is within the ETJ, so it's the city's zoning jurisdiction. However, county does have to hear it since it's within 3 mile. County Commission approved this as well. Previously, Lot 12 was platted for their son to build a house on. That hasn't happened just yet, but their daughter now and maybe a nephew would like to build out there too. So instead of just doing one at a time, they decided to go ahead and just plat out the whole development out there. I can answer any questions that you have for this as well.
Motion by Mr. McCardle. Second by Mr. Goldhammer. Further discussion?
Kyle and Melissa Crego.
Anybody in the audience wish to address this? Bless you. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Action to approve Resolution R 2024-04, creating Tax Increment District 32 and approving the project plan. Mr. Johnson, you going to lead us off?
Yep, I'll give you the brief introduction on this one. As you'll see in the project plan, this relates to the Cromer property, formerly the Shopco building. A portion of that building was repurposed for Cromer's offices, and there's an additional space that's being identified for potential future retail type businesses. That would be the part of the project that the TIF funds would be going for. The TIF was given, I guess, pre-classification by the state that it would qualify as an economic development type TIF. Staff did receive the application and meet to, the TIF review team did meet to go over the application. We did review that, did feel that it did meet all of the statutory requirements and the requirements of our ordinance and our handbook, and that it was a qualifying TIF. If you review the project cost breakdown, you can see how they came up to the number of their request. You can also see that the total number of their request actually exceeds the amount that the total number that they have for their eligible costs actually exceeds the amount that they're requesting. And that's, I think, essentially based off of their projected tax increment, just would not cover those full costs. Other than that, the TIF is set up as a grant pass-through like many of our past TIFs have been. Many of the standard terms and conditions are built into this one as well. Stephanie, anything that you want to add?
No, I guess the only thing I would just add is I did do an update for council and anyone who might be interested on the status of all of our existing TIFs. That's based off of the report that we get from the Department of Revenue that shows the current base and current values for each of those TIFs. So You'll see how many we have remaining. That first paragraph on that report will give you a summary of how many we have remaining active. We still have 15 out of the 28 approved TIFs. We've had a couple TIFs that had numbers that never went forward, so that's why we're on number 32. I don't think I had anything else to add other than what Justin went over. It does meet the same criteria that we've had for the previous TIF, so it's not going against constitutional debt, any of the other provisions in the TIF requirements.
And I know that Don Peterson is here on behalf of the applicant if there are any questions there.
I did just want to show, just for the general public too, that as of December 31st, 2023, we've had, you can see there, $12,368,295 of financing provided towards these projects. And it's resulted in $97,823,222 of increased assessed value within the community. So it does show that the increment that goes into these projects, we do get quite a bit of value out of that. And that is there for moving forward for property taxes and everything else.
Thanks for pointing that out. I think that's really a critical number that I hope the public understands. I think sometimes they misconstrue what a TIF does and how, whether or not it benefits the city or if we're just, doing favors for businesses, but knowing that return on our investment is really impressive.
Okay. Entertain a motion.
Motion approved.
Motion by Mr. Savers,
Second.
second by Mrs. Charks. Further discussion?
I was just going to say, just a comment. I don't want to listen to Don Peterson, but I want to give kudos to the Cromer family. Marty, you second that one, did you?
Tough crowd, Don.
I'm sure this is a leap of faith, and I was not looking forward to having the old Shopko building raise medical marijuana. And that was not going to be a fun meeting when that came to council. So for you guys to reach out and purchase that building and then going to expand your business and then potentially bring in some additional retail to Mitchell, which I know you're working on. I can't wait for you to tell us who that is, because we're getting a lot of questions. But I hope this is the first step or another step toward that. And to be on the north part of town is something that's very intriguing to us too. Not that we don't like the south, but few of us live north and we like new businesses up there too. So please pass that on to your mom and dad and your brothers and everybody involved in the community that, or to your family, that the community really appreciates what you guys are doing.
Will do, I appreciate that.
Anything else? Anybody in the audience want to address this? Okay, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. First reading on ordinance O 2024-01, amending the composition of the Business Improvement District 4 Board. Mr. Johnson.
All right, well, hopefully this one should be pretty easy. As we discussed when we were first adopting this, there was a request from the hoteliers that the membership of that board be expanded to include additional hotel representation. So the ordinance in front of you tonight would expand that membership of the board from 7 to 9 members, and the makeup of that would be increasing the number of hoteliers from 3 to 5. So that's really the only change, and I could make up more things to say, but that's all that needs to be said.
And Justin, just to relate, this is part of our discussion that we had back when we put the bid board together on that for sort of a good faith gesture on our behalf when Mr. Thompson was up here presenting to us that after the new year, we would bring this back to increase the board member count, if I recall correctly.
That's right, and that's really a result of kind of the procedural situation that we were in at the time, as far as, if we were going to go back and change it at that time, we kind of had to start the process over, and that would have meant that we wouldn't have had it in place by that January 1st timeframe. So really, to make things work, this is the route that we had to go.
Motion by Mr. McCardle, second by Mr. Barrington. Further discussion? Anybody in the audience wish to address this? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. We're adjourned.